Oh, and are we?
This is Standing Strong with Waylon Myers. Let's stand strong together. And I'm your co-host, Tyler Peters. This show gives you the courage and strength to talk about life's challenging struggles.
There is more bullying, depression, anxiety, crimes, and hate. It's breaking apart the strength we have in ourselves.
My name is Waylon Myers, and I'm out interviewing people around the world alongside my co-host Tyler Peters as we bring more kindness and courage back into the world. Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Standing Strong with Waylon Myers. I am so excited to be back. This is the 34th episode, and joining me is my co-host, Tyler Peters. What's up, Tyler?
Waylon, it is always an honor, my friend, to be joining you once again on Standing Strong, and I can't wait to talk to our guest. It's going to be another tremendous show.
Absolutely. Anyways, I just want to say that my website will be up soon, so I can all wait for that. And at this time, I am going to leave Tyler Peters with the quote of the day.
Yes, I borrowed this from the great Dolly Parton. The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. And that just spoke to me. I love inspirational quotes by anybody. And of course, I've got a soft spot for Miss Dolly Parton, a country music icon. And I thought that was just a beautiful quote.
Absolutely, I love it. And now, on to my introduction. Paul Fiumano is an actor and musician, as he's best known for Dhar Mann YouTube Series, Totally Studio, and Smile Scorn skits. He loves playing the guitar and singing, as he wrote letters on the page, which aired on his first Dhar Mann film as a skater. So you see, Paul is a very talented man. So ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please welcome to Standing Strong with Waylon Myers, Paul Fiumano.
Hello, thank you, Waylon. Thank you, Tyler, for
You're
having me.
welcome.
Oh, very welcome,
It's an
sir.
honor to have you.
It's a blessing to be on. This is a cool experience.
Yes, it is. Would you like to say anything to the viewers before we get started?
He doesn't look for subscribers, but make sure to just like, subscribe, share. It's a very inspirational and uplifting show, and I think everyone should be involved if you want to have a good day and always have like good vibes going on around. So thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Were you a victim of bullying? If so, what advice did you follow to avoid the negativity of people's opinion?
So I have barely been a victim of bullying. Like there were times in like high school and things like that when people would say like derogatory things, but I felt like you knew who the bullies were, so it didn't really affect me that much because it's like that guy stinks anyway. And I guess that's what helped me through. But I would also go back at them too, and I would say mean things. So like over time, you tend to learn that it's not even worth the energy to give to someone. So I think that's probably the best advice. Like just phase it out because negativity is only going to keep you down. You just either ignore it or just lift yourself up out of that because people are just trying to drag us all down.
Absolutely. That's
So
true. Yep. It's sad, but it's true.
But like I've also been like a bully too, so it's just like I wouldn't say that I picked on people specifically, but there were like times where I've said things to people where they're just mean in like middle school, and I still think about it today. I'm like, oh man, like I hope that kid's doing okay, but I know they are. We're like friendlier now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What is your personal opinion on cyberbullying? Because there is also a lot of cyberbullying too.
Personal opinion, as all bullying is, it's bad.
Yeah.
But cyberbullying sometimes is a little worse because you don't see the face behind it, and when you just get these words, you don't really know how to react because someone's personally attacking you who knows nothing about you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I haven't really experienced much of that personally. Even though I'm like sort of in the public eye now, I think like the Dhar Mann fans are all positive. There's probably some that don't like me, but like I don't even see it. So it's just good to be around that. It's a great
Yeah.
family. Yeah.
Absolutely, I agree. Tyler, what do you have to say?
I totally concur with what you guys are saying. I think it's easy to hide behind the keyboard when the cyberbullying, and so you guys brought up great observations. I'm just going to add that to your question, Waylon, and just a terrific answer, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're
Now,
welcome.
Paul, talking about depression and anxiety, what has helped you overcome it, and what advice would you give to people around the world?
So I've never been like diagnosed with anxiety and depression, but I definitely feel like I have anxiety. And my mom just raised me with it because she was so worried about everything. And then depression, I definitely get like seasonally. So I would say first comes first. If you have these feelings, go to a doctor if you have insurance or if you could afford one, because chemical imbalances are real and you should be able to get help. And two, if you're not someone who really believes in therapy or you think it's your thing, I think what helps me get through like bad times are just knowing that good times are always ahead. It's hard when you're low. Like when I'm anxious, I feel like what I've learned online too is also to like say how you're feeling at the moment, and that'll kind of keep you like conscious and above of the thoughts, because the thoughts are kind of negating at how you're feeling and trying to tell you how to feel or how to think. But if you could just overpower them and be like, I'm okay, like I'm in my room, I'm sitting in my room, like I'm like I feel safe, like, and I don't know. Anxiety is just crazy though, because in my experiences with it, you just make up scenarios in your head kind of that don't really exist. And then after the fact, you figure out that like, oh wow, like no one even thought that I looked like this, or like, because I'm super self-conscious when it comes to like anxiety, and I just, I don't know, I just get really bad like social anxiety, and I don't realize that I'm okay the whole time, and in here it's all messed up, and then people are like, I don't know, you talk to people afterwards and they kind of say something in the sense of just like, oh, like I couldn't even tell, like you were doing cool, like everyone was chilling. I was like, oh sorry, like I'm just in my head. So I think with anxiety, the best help for me is to just try to stay in the moment and realize that you're gonna be okay, and you are okay. With
Yeah.
depression's a lot harder because that feels like you dug yourself into a hole and you can't dig yourself out. So I've read like self-help books that helped me change my mindset into more positive thinking, and that's probably my answer because it's all in your mind and
Right.
it's all in your thoughts,
Sure.
and you kind of have a punching bag of these negative thoughts that you just keep rolling through, and you don't really realize that you're kind of I don't want to like blame the people, but like in my experience, I'm the one causing the depression because I'm keeping myself down low with these negative thoughts. So it's been a process of trying to think positive things about myself or like manifest positive ideas, because I actually kind of believe it's true though. If you like manifest these ideas and keep the positive vibes around you, it'll slowly get yourself out of this like hole that you're stuck in. And
Right.
yeah, but for me it goes in waves. So I'll be good for a while, and then I'll sink low and like not want to get out, and then something will happen, and I'll feel inspired again.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the same way with me when I get depressed and falling down and stuff. I'll just let it out, and then I'll just turn like music on or something, and then I just relax myself and go on with my day. Tyler, what do you have to add to this?
Yeah, I was kind of battling a little bit of it yesterday. Ashamed to say, but like Waylon says, I'll often listen to music, even when things go good. I just think sometimes like you said, there's a paranoia, whether it's anxiety or depression, and I just hope this uplifts somebody because even though things may seem like they're going great, sometimes mentally we're not always in a good place. It's easy to kind of wear that mask and hide our emotions. So I just really relied on my faith and thankfully like friends like Waylon and getting to connect with you, Paul. So I'm glad you brought that point up because everybody can, I think, at one point or another relate to it. And I think that's what's very helpful with having these conversations. We tend to not want to have them. We're afraid. We're fearful. And it's important that we open up our feelings because it's good to get this kind of stuff out. So thank you all for that. I was actually just a real life example yesterday. And I'll just admit that because I want people to know you're not alone. That's what Waylon and guests like yourself and Colin are reinforcing, that that sense of community.
We all go through it, yeah. And something to point out, what you said earlier, you said you're like, I'm ashamed to say. Like, don't be ashamed. Like, these are normal feelings. Like, it's going to happen. And you're getting yourself out of it. So you should be proud that it was something that you were able to get out of. I don't know. Wording is like super important because that's like the whole mindset thing. They're like, the power is in the thoughts.
Yeah.
So if you say like you're ashamed, like, then you're just negating, and it's like, like there goes that negative, just slipped right in.
Right.
See,
So
we've got a therapy session already. Thank you, because I didn't, it was so easy to say that, and you're so correct. I mean, I gave that word too much power, so that's another great example right then.
And it's like we're all here to talk about this, so it's like don't feel ashamed. Like we've all gone through it.
Kind of like emotional. If you feel like you want to hide your emotion, don't be ashamed of it. Let it out, because emotion is a good thing. It just makes you stronger and braver in the future.
Yeah.
So
we got some toxic masculinity in this country, though. Well, not in the country, but in society. Like, I feel like they definitely told my generation, like, you can't cry. Like, men don't cry. So I am kind of a robot sometimes when I watch some, like, certain movies or whatever. But Pixar still has a grip on me. Coco, man.
yeah.
There's a lot of those films. I mean, I'll cry, on some scenes now. I mean, it just, and I was kind of embarrassed at one point, but you're so right. We've got to be able to show our feelings. We love people, exactly.
Yeah, kind of like anything when a dog dies in a movie, it gets me teary-eyed too.
Yeah.
So
that's how they get.
I know. Now, there's a lot of crime and hate going on in this world. Have you experienced it firsthand in real life and not just acting? And what advice would you give to help someone get help?
For crime, I feel like that's a whole different ballgame. Like, hate, you see a lot, and there are like hate crimes as well. This is just like something that I heard in 8th grade and kind of always stuck with me. That my teacher said. He said like 99% of the world is good, and that 1% is bad. We happen to like magnify the 1% and the bad, and it kind of changes our worldview. So we just see it as a bad place, and the news only puts on bad things. So like it makes us scared all the time when we just shouldn't have to be, because those things do happen, and I'm not saying they don't, but a lot of good things happen too, and people forget how wonderful people actually are when you have like this sense of community. In a big city, like I live in Los Angeles now, and there definitely is a lot of crime. There's a lot of homelessness. and there is some hate, but I feel like you don't really see a lot of hate around here. Everyone's pretty like um socially on like the same level when it comes to, I guess, like societal norms about like respecting people's like gender identity or like race. So I really don't think I see the hate, but I definitely have seen it in other parts of the country. And I don't know. I don't want to sound like a hippie or a Beatle, but like love really is the answer. But what I was saying earlier about like the 99% of people are good. One of my friends, she has like bad anxiety and depression, and she always says bad things about the world because I understand her point of view to like hate the world. She's had some bad experiences. But yesterday, she's driving across the country. She's actually on her way to Mississippi from starting in California. And she was in New Mexico yesterday, and she got stuck in a sand dune. And she had no service. She was out in the desert, like, because she just got back from a national park. And two people came by and stopped. Like, the human race, like, we're still here. We're still pumping. We still got good people. Like, one person stopped and was like, hey, like, I can't really help you, but I will stay with you until we get out of this. And then someone ended up coming with like a big truck, like a Jeep or something, that towed her out. So it's like, yeah, the end of the world felt like it was so near, but there are good people around them. And the difference is sometimes you got to be that person, because if not, then like who's going to be that guy?
Completely agree.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if anyone ever needs help, don't judge them, don't second guess yourself. Go to them and ask them if they are okay, because you never know if they're in danger. So.
And it's kind of like paying it forward too, because it's like, man, if you're ever in a situation where you need help, wouldn't you want someone to come by? And I understand like certain people, like I've never pulled off the side of the road to see someone like who needs help. Like if I'm like walking by someone, I'll ask like, "Oh, you guys good?" Blah blah blah, because I know like a little bit about cars, thankfully to my dad, but like not enough. But I think it's important to be there because we're technically all neighbors. Like we're all related somewhere somehow. So it's just important that we keep the love, even though we see all the hate and we see all the crime.
Right.
Yeah.
It gives
We're
us hope
all
and
the
humanity.
same.
Yeah.
Yep. We're all the same in God's eyes. So, now on to the next question. What hardships did you experience in your life, and what were some ways you overcame them?
So, for the whole beginning of my life, I would like to say that I was like pretty privileged, and I lived like a nice middle class life. And the problems that I had were probably like made up or because of like that structure of suburban society where you just like want to be a rebel. I really didn't experience any hardship until I moved out to Los Angeles, because it was the first time that I ever was out alone. I commuted to college, like I lived at home for all that stuff too. So I had it pretty easy. Luckily, like when I got to Los Angeles, my cousin let me stay for a month rent free, and I was able to try to figure things out. But once that month was over, then I started like subletting from place to place, and it's scary because you're the only person you have at that point,
Right.
and you just have to find it in yourself to keep going, because if you stop, then it all stops. But it was definitely a cool experience to have like hardships, as dumb as that sounds, like as privileged as that sounds, because you grow so much from it. Like when I first lived in like this apartment that was unfurnished, I was like sleeping on a yoga mat for like 2 weeks until like someone had a free twin mattress that they could like hand over to me. And it's just like, if you care about something and you have the drive to do it, like you're gonna get through it. You just got to keep going. And I actually picked up this is so random. I picked up a hitchhiker for the first time this March. I was going to Joshua Tree, and I was supposed to go with someone, but I messed that up, and I found a hitchhiker guy with a Grateful Dead symbol. I love the Grateful Dead, so I'm like, okay, seems like a trustworthy guy. You can come on in. And the guy had a dog, and it was interesting asking questions about this person who like lived on the road and their future was always uncertain. But for some reason, they didn't stop. Like they kept going. They were always like waiting for the next opportunity of like, oh, this is how I make money. Or like, I'll busk, I'll play guitar because they had one. And especially like having the responsibility of a dog and seeing that, it really inspired me to be like, even when you hit the bottom, like you just have to, you can still get out of it. Like you can keep going. Like these people like purposely live this way and aren't discouraged about it. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that helped me like make myself a little bit stronger when I experience something that sets me back or makes me upset, because then I realize like, oh, a lot of the things on the surface level are very superficial. And as long as you have like the important basic necessities, like you're going to be okay. You just have to focus. But like, yeah, with hardships, you just have to go to sleep knowing that tomorrow will be a better day. And you just have to put that energy out, because it's really cool to see what you can do for yourself if you just try and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Tyler, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, just real quick. It puts into perspective all the things we worry about. Like you said, the guy had a dog. He was, homeless, but had the Grateful Dead shirt. So that's something you could connect with him right away. I just think that's a beautiful story, a beautiful thing. And I love how music brings us all together, man. That's what I love about Waylon's show and having guests like yourself. It opens up our minds. I mean, we really get narrow-minded, because I've been guilty. If we pass somebody, I'm like, I'm not sure, just because the way the world works sometimes. But however, you never know, though, if that somebody needed something.
I'm still a very judgmental person. Like if you ever do the Myers-Briggs test or whatever, like I got the J at the end, and I'm like, shucks. Like someone pointed out that meant judgment, and I was like, oh, like I didn't realize I do judge. But it's very important to keep yourself in check, because now when I see people, I try to empathize with them more, and I try to be like, oh, like I don't know. I don't want to make it political, but they say like, you have more in common with someone living on the street than you do with a billionaire, like Jeff Bezos. So I try to just get myself, when I see people in those harsh conditions, and be like, I don't know, like treat them like a normal person, because other people just like look away from them. So I'll give like a how you doing type of thing, and sometimes they don't answer. Like people are at their lowest points. Sometimes they're like embarrassed that they're even there, but other people just feel blessed to be recognized like a human.
Yeah.
So it's cool to try to throw away the judgment sometimes and realize that people are just going through it, and you could too.
Absolutely.
I think people want to be loved, to your guys' point. I think that's the thing. If they see your vulnerability, then that opens up the doors. Because it's been hard for me, whether judgmental or not. It's just I've got anxiety as well, so it's not as easy. Even though I'm behind a mic, it's not hard for me to go up to talk to somebody all the time.
Yeah, kind of like me having a speech impediment, and I was embarrassed about it most of my life, and then I eventually overcame it. So.
And look at you now. Like,
I know.
It's crazy what you can do if you just do it. Like, you find out what you're passionate about. Like, it's so crazy to even be on a show right now. Like, I'm just some guy from New Jersey who came over here with an idea of a dream. And then I got in one video where I played guitar, and now I have like some fans. I never would have thought this was ever gonna happen. Like, yeah. Like I wanted to act, but now it's like, oh, cool. Like now I could also mess with music, and it's just wild.
Absolutely, I agree. Now, how have your experience affected your life long term, good or bad? Did those experiences change your goals or change the direction of your career?
Sorry to ask, what kind of experiences exactly? Like negative experiences?
like positive experience, negative experience,
Okay.
and yeah, from growing up to where you are now.
So my mom was always a big believer to like be different. Uh,
Hmm.
we like she was frugal at the time of being a kid. Like etnies were all the rage. Like these were like these skate shoes, and she would always be like, "No, we're not buying etnies." Like yeah, like wait for them to go out of style. And it's like, Mom, why would I want something that's out of style? But it kind of like taught me to be like, you don't have to fit in with the status quo. You could just do your own thing and live your own way. And she was also a big proprietor of being yourself. Like, be different and be yourself. You could always do whatever you wanted to. And I never really believed that because I also felt that my mom's worrisome like attitude gave me so much anxiety. I was too afraid to be myself or do things that I wanted to do. And that's probably why I stayed living at home for like my whole life. And it's yeah, positivity like it other people have to inspire you, but you have to do all the work. Like you have to be the person that gets out of bed to tell yourself like I am achieving something today. And it's hard to do. Like I haven't really gotten a lot done this week because sometimes you're just in a funk. Uh, but yeah, it's up to you to try to get yourself out of it.
Hmm.
Now I'm like stuck because I'm like, man, I've been in a funk for months. It feels, but it's uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. From what I've learned, it's all about motivating yourself to get yourself to do these things because the reward is really unbelievable. Like the positivity that I've experienced from friends and people around here that believe in me when I don't believe in myself. Like I'll be like, yeah, I thought about doing this thing, but I don't think I'm funny enough, or I don't think I'm good, or I can't write. And people are like, oh, I would totally work with you on that, or like, no, you could do that. Like I'd watch that, and it just changes your perspective because it's like, oh, like I do have people rooting for me when I'm not rooting for myself, and then it makes you have to question like, why aren't I rooting for myself? I should be my biggest fan.
Exactly.
And honestly, like the Dhar Mann community, especially like the cast, are like super supportive. Um, like you get like a lot of comments like, "Are you guys friends in real life? Are you this and that?" And it's like, honestly, I've only seen these people on set, but I could tell you that I've only had positive experiences, and I have seen some of them on other sets other than Dhar Mann. And it's only good energy, like it's only good vibes, and we're only here to lift each other up. So I'm glad and grateful to be like a part of that community that is only like positive energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Dhar Mann. He brings out so many positive and inspiring videos. I watch every new video he posts, and
Mm-hmm.
I love how they are longer now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
long form.
And to think about it, he did his very first video from his couch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you got to start somewhere. But the important thing is you got to start
Yep.
because we always put things off and we're always afraid or anxious and we feel like we can't do things. But the only way you're going to get anything done is if you just start. And it's hard to
Absolutely.
do. It's like the hardest part about getting fit is like getting your butt to the gym.
Sure.
But it just applies in every type of like mode of your life. And I use
Yep.
that as like an example all the time because I am lazy and I'm like, man, like that uh I don't know, practicing this is like going to the gym, like getting there is just the hardest part. But once you're there, like you can do the workout. Just getting
Yep.
your mindset to get there, get up, hard.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
always difficult.
Like me, I was gonna. I mean, I first started standing strong. I then
Mm.
friends and coworkers, and then I was gonna give up after doing 7 episodes.
Really?
But then I didn't. I continued doing it, and then I reached out to some actors and stuff, and I'm like, wonder if they would come on my show. So after since I reached out to all the Dhar Mann actors and
Mhm.
several other actors, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna continue doing it, see where my
Mhm.
show's gonna take me, And look, I am now on the 34th episode.
Mhm.
So,
It's really crazy. If you believe in something, you just got to keep doing it. And it's all proof. Like, it's literally all proof. You could have stopped at 7, and now we're at 34.
100%. Tyler, do you have anything to add to any of this that we was just discussing?
Yeah, can I hire Paul as a life coach? Because I'm being serious. It's really inspiring, and I'm telling you, I've been finding myself in these real life situations wanting to put off stuff when I should just continue and try, because you get so distraught if you're not finding your creativity. And I mean, this is really resonating with me. I had a bunch of questions, but I love the way this conversation's going. There's no need to ask a bunch. I mean, it's just answering a lot. So why do I need to even
I'm
answer?
down to answer everything.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to say, like, what I've heard and read online is like a half-assed workout. Sorry if I can't say that, but a half-assed workout is better than no workout at all. So like I'm into like Gary Vee and stuff too, and he's like super inspirational. People don't like him, but he is the kind of person that's like, quality is more important than, or not quality. It's just getting out the work is more important than the quality. It doesn't matter. Like, you could shoot things on your phone, you could like this and that. And I don't want to just make it about like social media content creators, because that's just like what he talks about now. But yeah, like you just have to be that person to do it. And I can't say I'm perfect. Like, I don't follow all this advice, because I'm also the person who like sits in my bed and stays on my phone watching other people's lives and being like, oh, I wish that was me or something.
Yeah. Now on to my next question. If there's one thing you can tell people about standing strong and to stay true to themselves, what would it be?
It's a lot of pressure, but you really are the only person you have who you can depend on. So don't look for other people to do things for you if it's your baby. Like, if this is your goal, you have to be the person that like wakes up out of the funk and makes a change. Because if you don't, no one's gonna do it for you. And it's like a sad, harsh reality. But once you get that strength and figure out the baby steps of how to get to your goal, you're gonna just look back and be like, oh my, like, it was so much easier than I thought. Like, I had a couple like rough days, rough weeks, rough months, but it was a lot easier. I wish I would have done that sooner. That's the thing I say a lot. I wish I would have done that sooner, because I didn't know how easy it would have been, because I was so afraid to even try.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all can relate there.
Yes.
So yeah, the most important thing, you gotta be your number one fan. You gotta believe in yourself, because that's the only way you're gonna stand strong. Like, you gotta believe in yourself, and you have to believe in the other people around you too. And it'll work as this whole feedback loop of just positive energy and good connections with one another that just believe in oneself, and they check you. They're like, hey, like, how you doing today? You doing good? Like, did you get that thing done? Like, you just create this whole atmosphere that you want to be surrounded by, and it all starts with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Kind of like me back in my days, because I had a speech impediment. I'm like, I'm never gonna talk in front of anyone because they're gonna judge me. Then I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna talk, and then look where I'm at today. So.
And you were talking about how earlier you were talking in front of like 19,000 people, 20,000 people on Colin's live once. Like,
Yep.
you've done it already. Like, now you have 3. Like, so everything else from now on should be a little bit easier.
Yep, absolutely.
It never feels that way.
Yep, I know it doesn't. Tyler, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I do have a question. It's music related. What got you inspired to pursue music? Because I love to sing myself. Boy, the piano lessons, I wish I would have studied better. But I saw the guitar. We've talked about the Grateful Dead. I know you're a big Beatles fan and Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
All of them are poets, man. To me,
Yeah.
that's poetry. So I just have to ask, what made you fall in love with music?
Music was just something my mom, I think, really and got us into as kids. Like on road trips, or like we had this big suburban van, like it's like this GMC Safari, and she would put in tape cassettes of like Queen, Billy Joel, Bon Jovi, like the Beatles, Elvis, all these like greatest hits compilations. So you got to hear the good stuff. But I never really wanted to pursue music. Music was my brother's thing, and it still is my brother's thing. He's like a really talented percussionist, and my sister was a really good flutist until my brother like must have lost the flute or something. But I didn't come here to do music. I play guitar because I enjoy it, and it's like a hobby for me, and it actually scares the crap out of me. Um, Seeing that people want me to make music and like want me to put out music, like an album or something, because to me it's like, man, I just like want to do hobbies, music for fun, and now there's all this pressure where I have to like make a monetary gain out of it, and it yeah, I'm afraid that would take the fun out of it. So right now, like, I feel under the pressure of that, and then I'm also just anxious about like here in LA, like everyone has to do things fast because we live in like a throwaway society where it's just like this one came out like next week, and this one, like, we already forgot about that song that came out a month ago. And I'm the kind of person who listens to music from the 60s. So like seeing that like kind of, I guess, scares me, because I love music that has longevity and that can stand the test of time. And I'm sure you do too. Like we were talking about like Toto and Bob Dylan and
Yeah,
like
of course.
the Beatles, and like I don't know.
You've got great taste, is what I would say.
Thank you.
No, for sure.
Yeah, honestly, it's just meeting people and figuring out new things from them, and then that'll just change your flavor of how you like hear things. But yeah, like I love music. It makes me feel good, but I'm afraid to play live. Like how you're afraid to public speak, I am too. Like I I played live only a couple times. It scares the crap out of me. So that's why I do the Tuesdays on like just me and myself and a camera, because I'll mess up 200 times and then I'll get one take where I mess up just not as bad, and then I'll use that. And it's like, man, I couldn't imagine playing perfectly live every time for people.
Yeah.
But that's also me like putting words in my psyche telling me like I can't do that. I can't imagine that. So it's really just being like, I have to be able to imagine that to be able to do it. And it's hard to get out of that bubble when you don't believe in yourself. Yeah. I'm trying to like go back to the original question of,
Oh no, you're fine. But to your point about doing several takes, that's me too. I'm guilty about not showing my mistakes. Like I messed up on a Dean Martin song. I was one to sing it, and I kept forgetting certain words, so I only could do part of the song. So I was guilty. I just put the part where it looked like I knew what I was doing. I was smiling, and I really got this. And what
but
people
today
didn't realize.
you can.
Oh yeah, you can. That's the thing.
beauty
Editing
of
has
it.
really, it's almost ruined us to where we don't need to. Well, to your point, that's why I do appreciate Paul Simon, and Dean Martin. But I can't even remember what question I asked. But hey, this answer has been just even better. So it doesn't matter. It's been educational. I mean that. Really good.
Before we go on with more of your questions, Tyler, if there's anyone in the live stream that has a couple questions for Paul, go ahead and type in your questions, and then close to the end of this interview, we will pick a couple for him to answer. So if you have any questions you would like to ask Paul, put them in the comments right now. Thank you. Tyler, back to you.
Oh, thanks, Waylon. And another thing I was going to ask Dhar, man, Waylon's educated me on it, and that's what helps with the research for this show. I'll tell you what, speaking of just making us value the little things, this show has brought to light a lot of that. And it's been a great reminder. Do you ever encounter anybody that watches the show that gives you some great positive feedback? Like, you know what, that really spoke to me, that, watch it on YouTube or anything like that? I'm just curious because I'm new to Dhar Mann.
I feel like I'm kind of new to Dhar Mann. I'm in a couple of them, but I don't watch all of them religiously. I'm
Gotcha.
like, busy in my own mind of just wasting time doing other things. But I do read the comments of the things that I'm in sometimes, and I do see comments where people say like, this changed my life, or like, this helped me get through this. And I also have like some fans that will reach out and be like, hi, like I had a bad day today. I put on your song and I feel better. And it like kind of like, it doesn't freak me out, but it's like, what? Like this can happen? Like people listen to my thing and feel better? Like I'm usually listening to someone else that like has to have that power. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to promote that change in people's days and people's lives. And yeah, there's definitely a lot of people who watch the videos that do talk about like what they've learned. And that's I think the beauty of Dhar Mann, because there's not a lot of content out there these days, I feel, that you can learn something from. A lot of it's like cranks or like toxic and like things that have to do about like commercialism and consumerism, I guess. Like those aren't the answers. Like if you're chasing products, like you're never going to find happiness because it has to come from here. So I think Dhar Mann does a really good job of showing people what to be grateful for, and it's definitely a beautiful like mirror image to see that your work can reflect on other people and make them have beautiful days too, or like make them change their mindset.
Yeah, it's so powerful. I mean, I watched the episodes you were in that Waylon was helping me because I'm like, I got to find the episodes he's in so I know, have a little direction. And it was awesome, man. I watched the one about the skater that ends up with a girl, and then he ends up teaching the guy a lesson, the cocky, because we all encountered that guy. Oh, I've got the rich family. I've got the big car. And I love that line. And I'm not going to say it because I would butcher it, but like where you had the better car. And that was great. No, I can't remember it. You can tell my acting experience. I would leave it to Paul to guess, but it was great, man. It just those things we forget. You kind of got the last laugh, but you were modest about it. It wasn't like you were being arrogant like he was, but it's just it's a good life lesson. Sometimes we got to be careful with our egos because they come back to bite us. And even examples like that are just relatable, and that's what I appreciate about Dhar Mann. That's all why I brought up those certain scenes. I mean, like you said, it's a powerful thing. It's a great message.
It's a little cute joke, poking fun.
Yeah,
but yeah, that video definitely, like, I think someone actually commented about it the other day, or like someone might have reached out and said something about like the little things are important, and that was like the main theme in that. And it's true. Like we take things for granted so easily.
Oh, we do.
We do.
Yeah, did a fantastic job of highlighting that, and that's the gist of my questions. The only other one I would ask, because I want to give it back to Waylon, would be any favorite actor or actress since you do act. I mean, that really influenced you. Or
I'm so bad at these kind of questions.
Oh no.
But I think the most influential person that I've seen that made me want to do what I want to do is Chris Farley.
Oh gosh.
Like I would say like 90s SNL, my parents like put on like the best of DVDs. So I'd watch like the best of Chris Farley, the best of Will Ferrell, like best of Adam Sandler, and like Chris Rock, maybe like Phil Hartman. And I want to say the two that probably influenced me the most are like Adam Sandler and Chris Farley. I just love physical comedy. And obviously, like, I don't do that kind of work with Dhar Mann, but that's like the kind of work that I would love to get to do someday. Like I'm like trying to right now change the trajectory of my career, where I still want to act, but I want to focus more on improv. So I'm trying to like make grown-up decisions and be like, like maybe I should just get a bartending job now and then just do improv and focus on that for now. And try to do like acting gigs here and there when I get them. Because I think as a kid, I loved laughing and it made me feel good. And that's when I realized like, I want to make people feel good. Like I want to do funny things that make people laugh and make them feel good.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are great choices, and I'm sure Waylon would agree, man. Chris Farley, Adam Sandler. There was an Adam Sandler movie on the other
I love
day.
Adam
Oh
Sandler.
yeah, he's incredible, man.
He
And
is.
there's
He's
something to be
funny.
said, yeah, about those guys. But I'm going to send it to Waylon. But hey, man, it's always a pleasure. This has been a lot of fun and really helpful too. I mean that.
Yeah, thank you for having me, both of you. Seriously, it was nice meeting you, and I hope to like keep talking to you guys after this. Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like there's
I
so
would
many
love
good
that.
topics
Yeah.
that we could tackle.
Can you, at this moment, Paul, can you just tell us a little bit more of what Totally Studio is? Because I saw your video that they just posted recently where you tried to blame your neighbor for toilet papering the neighborhood. What was your experience with that video?
So it's run very differently than Dhar Mann. I don't know, working at Burger King as like a teenager kind of helped you like see how things are made to operate in like a machine aspect where you put the burgers in the grill and then they come out this way and then people bring it to the counter and then they drive off with like their food. And Dhar Mann runs like a pretty tight machine where they have someone for every job pretty much. Like they have the sound people and they have all this. And Totally Studios is definitely a lot different. I didn't have the script beforehand, and they kind of just improv it. Like it'll be like the director telling you like, here's what to say, and like look over here type of thing. So it was definitely a different experience because they kind of do it like a theater, like theatrical show in the sense of in Dhar Mann, there's the camera angles like you have to like look at this way and this might like not make sense or like translate over, but I think Dhar Mann is shot more like TV and film, and Totally Studios is kind of shot where like there's a backdrop that everyone has to follow on the backdrop. So like when you're talking to someone, you can't look at them directly because then you're upstaging yourself and like your profile's messing everything up. So you have to like look out of the corner of your eye, sort of. But I don't know if you meant like in a technical aspect or if you just meant like the people. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. I only got to do that one video with them. They were really nice. The director was really funny, and we were working with like a lot of kids too. So meeting the parents, actually the parents are very interesting because when you're an adult and you work with kids, it's like I don't know what to talk to a kid about. Like I don't play Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft. That one was like heavy into Minecraft.
And I saw the familiar face from Dhar Mann was your mom, Rebecca Ritz. She is an amazing actress.
That was the first time I've met Rebecca, and I didn't even know that she was in Dhar Mann. I don't think she knew I was in Dhar Mann. We just like sat next to each other, and then we just started talking, and we hit it off. And then I think she followed my Instagram. She was like, "Oh, you know these people?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like small world." And then it was just funny. She's like, "Oh, I gotta get a video of this." And then she was a lot of fun. She told me a lot of crazy stories about her past too. Yeah.
I'm kind of working on trying to get her on this show. So.
I feel like she would love to do it. I'm not going to speak for her, but I feel like we'd be able to get her on. Yeah. She's great.
She is. She does an amazing job playing Kelvins and nice and mean and Shreen all at the same time. She's just amazing.
And she has like an interesting story. I don't remember everything 100%, so I'm going to paraphrase, and sorry, Rebecca, if I'm wrong. But she used to act a lot more a while ago, and I believe she had kids and then stopped for a bit. And now she's getting back into the game. So it was really cool to hear her talk about like how the industry was and like the things that might have been a little bit different and the opportunities that she had in the past and the jobs that she did is just really cool. Because when you meet people on set, this is something that I feel about for every set, regardless if you're a background actor or if you're like a regular actor. When you first like walk into the holding room where all the actors are, there's this kind of mindset where it's kind of like a dog-eat-dog world. I get anxious and like I'm really insecure, so I usually tend not to talk to anybody unless I know them. I'll stay quiet and I'll stay put. maybe I'll try to like crack a joke if I could sense the energy in the room is like positive, or if I can like get away with making people laugh. But I feel like when you first walk in, it's intimidating because everyone probably thinks they might be better than you, or everyone thinks they're the best. So it's like when I did the Dhar Mann Skater Boy video, I was super intimidated by Colton at first. I never met the guy. It was like he like showed up a little late, so he just popped in for his part, and then it's like now there's two guys on the set, where it was just like me hanging out with like the director and like the cast of like girls of like Avery, Jaslyn, and Shannon. And like I felt awkward at first because I am a bit old and I'm working with like people who were like 17 and like in their earlier 20s, but I just assumed they were all like teenagers. So I'm like, I'm this old guy and like I gotta like not say anything stupid and like try to be funny. Like I made a joke at first and I didn't know how they'd take it. They thought I was serious, and then I had to like be like, no, that was like a joke. Like we were doing something on set, and then like I made a sound and I was like I farted, and Jaslyn I think gave me like a weird look, like ew. And I'm like I was, and then I think like once we were able to establish that we could like banter back and forth and have fun, then like the whole set became a blast. But as I was saying with Colton, like I was intimidated by him at first because it's just like I don't know where this guy's from or how experienced he is. So I'm the new guy. This is my first time ever having like something with lines that people are gonna see. So I was kind of just nervous, like don't mess this up. And he ended up being a blast, and he was really funny. Like if you ever watched that video, there's like a part where he throws a piece of paper at my face because I'm like playing guitar for like this club called Sal's, this bar or restaurant, and we did so many takes of him just throwing this piece of paper in my face, and we were laughing really hard. Of course, like we didn't use any of the ones that hit me in the face, but it was just fun to do. And that goes with like Rebecca. Like when you walk into a room with someone, you're all on a clean slate. You don't know who they are. So it was really interesting to hear about her whole past, and it kind of changes your perspective on this person because at first you kind of judge them for like just what you assume these people are. You really don't know anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
Now we're gonna add into the fans. Maria wants to know, is there a song that makes you emotional? Which song is it, and why is it so powerful?
So Maria is my number one fan, aside from my mom. But there are a lot of songs that I like to play and repeat that make me emotional. If I had to think of one song, Don't Let Me Down by the Beatles. Great song, but I'm not going to choose it. Don't Let Me Down, covered by John Mayer and Keith Urban. That song changed my life. I was in college. I hated college. I was depressed. I was really sad, and I just wanted it to be over. Like I hated commuting. It was just really like depressing to waste like I don't know, almost like 4 hours a day going back and forth because it was like almost 2 hours to get there and then 2 hours back. So it's just like I don't know. You're in your head and you're not doing things that you want to do. And college for me was like a rough experience because I had all this energy to create, and by the time college was over, I lost that passion and that energy, and I'm still trying to find it now. But I would listen to Don't Let Me Down on repeat all the time by Keith Urban and John Mayer. It was, I believe, at the 2013 Crossroads Festival. Eric Clapton runs it. And their solo of them just talking to each other on guitar was just something that was able to like pick me up from it, because the whole song is about like don't let me down. Like I'm putting my faith in someone. I'm vulnerable for the first time, and that song definitely helped me like get through. I recommend honestly everyone to listen to that version of it. Keith Urban's guitar strap unlatches while he's playing, and like John helps put it back on, and it's like that's what I'm talking about. Like, don't let me down. These people are there for each other, and they're making a great version of this song. yeah, it's just a like stellar performance, and it definitely makes me emotional once um they do like a little, they really do like a guitar solo, and they talk to one another, and you could definitely hear the emotion in it. Um, so I guess that's probably one song that definitely makes me emotional. But there's tons of others. There's so
But
many. There's so
so
many
many.
songs. Yeah. Do you guys have a song that you want to share that helps you get out of a rut or makes you feel better?
More quails don't laugh at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. You got me thinking there. There's so many, like you guys were saying.
Exactly.
I think any of the Chicago songs are great. Like "You're the
Mhm.
Inspiration," that would fit this song. I love Peter Cetera, so I'm still a
Yeah.
big fan, even though he's not with them anymore, and still like
Mhm.
Chicago, even when they get different singers, because it's still got some of the musicians. So I'm an old soul, man, trapped in a young man's body. I go old school, but hey, I'm with you.
Me too.
John Mayer, Keith Urban, great
Mhm.
musicians, great singers, and
Yeah.
definitely was a big fan of John Mayer when he first started getting popular, because I was
Yeah.
still in school at that time. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
big fan of those guys too.
Do you mind if I
We're
geek
get,
out about music?
No, no, go ahead.
So
Go Waylon.
I hated John Mayer for the longest time. And because I just thought he was some guitarist that played like basic things to get into girls' pants. And yeah, so I was like, screw this guy, like he's not in it for the music. And then I started learning guitar, and one of my friends was like, John Mayer's a very talented guitarist. And I'm like, Doug, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. And eventually, when I probably around late high school, early college, I found John Mayer songs like uh, his version of Free Fallin'. That made that like that opened up my eyes for the first time. Stop This Train, John Mayer song, changed my life too. Like emotional song about like being afraid of time and growing up and changes.
hmm
And yeah, so I never thought I'd ever be a John Mayer fan. And Keith Urban, I just thought he was a country guy. I didn't know he was a great guitarist too. So seeing that performance for the first time, the Don't Let Me Down, like blew me away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to your point, I didn't realize how much depth they had. To your
Mhm.
point, they're so talented, and also, I mean, that was a great question. Just there were so many emotional songs that speak to us in different ways, and the Beatles have one.
Mhm.
Gosh, I was trying to think of the song just now. Paul McCartney led it, which that was a lot of them, but
Mhm.
it was one. What's the one that's got Mary in it, like the Catholic he's talking about?
Oh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah, I just went
Let It
off the
Be?
rails. Yeah, let it be. Yes, I knew if I could say a lyric, I could remember it. So
Mm.
thank you for that. That's one that really, that's the one
Mm.
that's emotional in a different sense because it's kind of I think, a tribute to his mother. So,
Yeah.
so that's awesome, man. Just stuff like that. See, that's why I like that we can talk music, different things
hmm
about life. That's what I love about Waylon's show. It's
Yeah.
just
Thanks,
awesome.
Tyler. On
No, it
to
is.
the next. We're gonna do one more question in the comment box. Desiree says, "What got you into Bob Dylan in the first place? Like, once you first heard his music, did you start to feel inspired by his music?"
Thank you, Desiree, for the question. Another big fan. So Bob Dylan, what got me into him was in eighth grade, I had this really influential teacher. He's the one who also said like the 99% of people are good. And he's also the class that I was in where I bullied a kid and he made me apologize to that kid in front of everybody. Like, so I learned so much from that teacher and definitely changed my life. He, for some reason, we were learning about music or just like poetry, and he put on this Bob Dylan song, the music video of this Bob Dylan song called Subterranean Homesick Blues. And it's a young Bob Dylan with like an Allen Ginsberg in the back and someone else next to him. And Bob Dylan's holding these signs that have like the lyrics on it. And it's like, Johnny's in the basement mixing up the medicine. I'm on the pavement thinking about the government. A man in a trench coat, bad job, laid off. Like, so he's just going through, not talking, just pulling these cards that say like the end of the lyrics. And for some reason, I don't know why, but that like inspired me because it just changed the way of how I looked at the world for a second. I couldn't tell you why. I really don't know why. It might have just been the teacher and the class. But that music video like just changed my life because there was just something so iconic about it. And like it happened to also have my yearbook quote from high school in it. Like, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. Which, as a senior in high school, I thought it meant like, I don't need someone else to tell me how to live my life and direct like what I have to do or like change my plans for the day. Like, I could do that myself. But then I ended up learning that it's it's about a radical leftist group called the Weathermen that would like blow up places and do like terroristic acts. So it was like almost like a protest to that group. You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. So that's what started me on Bob Dylan, and I didn't really listen to much. I kind of thought he was cool, and I might have had the idea like, I'm cooler if I listen to Bob Dylan. Maybe in high school I got that, but there was definitely a period of time where I was like, after I knew that one song, I was strictly into like rap and R&B, and then I became a rocker again and like got super into the Beatles. But Bob Dylan is someone that you have to take. I'm assuming you guys have drinking, so it's kind of like a nice whiskey. Like, it's something you sip on. You don't want to chug Bob Dylan because you might get sick of him really quickly. But there are so many songs that you probably don't know are written by him, or just that you don't even know are him, that he's just written that have changed society completely. And for me, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. I actually just saw him this week, and he was amazing. But I forgot what I was going with that. Oofs. So Bob Dylan, he you can't listen to him all at once. Some albums you can, but from my experience, there's like songs that I'll find that'll just evaluate my whole like opinion on things, or just change how I view the world. And he was a young guy. He was like 21 to 23 when he like wrote like The Times Are Changing, like that whole album. And there's all these phenomenal like political messages that speak of the times back then that are 100% relatable today. What I was saying, that I think I'm a big Bob Dylan fan, but I concur that I'm actually not, because there's like half of his catalog that I've never listened to before. He has like 30 albums, and I've only listened to like maybe the first half, not even. And when I listen to the albums, they always start off a little rough because he changes his sound every time. But once you listen to the lyrics and pick out the good songs that are written, it'll blow you away how he could just keep on one-upping himself a little bit each time.
Right.
Yeah, so like Bob Dylan, horrible voice. Like, my mom hated him. I never listened to him as a kid. Like, didn't know about him until like middle school. Yeah, so, but I think his whole lifestyle, and like if you ever watch like documentaries on him, he always like lives in the moment, and he doesn't care about what people think, and he always does what he wants to do. And I kind of want to be more like that, because I'm insecure and I'm like self-conscious and I'm afraid of doing things. And I don't live in the moment. Like, I'd be more afraid, and I'll sit in my room and do nothing all day when there's a whole world of opportunities where I could be doing things. And it's just crazy to see this guy from, I think he's from Minnesota. I might be wrong, but this guy from Minnesota with a horrible voice changed society completely. You can too. Like, this guy won the lottery. Like, he shouldn't have been like this amazing. His voice is like painful to listen to sometimes for some people, for a lot of people. And that kind of just shows you, like, if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. Because I'll watch his things, or I'll watch like the documentaries, and I'm just like, man, this world has to be a simulation, because there's no way that this guy became successful doing this. And I think that just inspired me, because it's like, no, he did do it. Like, he put his foot down and did everything he wanted to do, and he's still doing it today. And I don't know, it's just very inspiring.
Yeah, to me, he's that storyteller. I mean, like you're saying, the lyrics, if you really think about what those songs are telling us, I mean, that's when you spiritually get that connection with it. So
Mhm.
that was awesome. I love Bob Dylan too.
Me too. Like you
Yeah.
learn so much from his music that you just wouldn't get from living your own life. He has so many outside perspectives because I feel like he's so intelligent and very like well read that he's lived all these lives that we don't understand yet. And there'll be a point in time when we all look back, probably sadly, like once he passes away, which I don't even want to say, um,
Yeah.
and we'll probably realize what a great gift that came by and passed, and we'll probably keep discovering hidden meanings in things that he wrote a while ago. He's just that kind of guy. You just keep figuring new things out about them from listening to him.
Absolutely. Now, Paul, during your time on my show, how would you rate Standing Strong to the viewers, and what was your experience been like being on my show?
So it was a 10 out of 10 experience. I was like lucky enough. I asked if I could like come a little bit earlier, which is nice because we got to like troubleshoot a little bit and also just talk. And it was nice to get to know everyone a little bit more before we started the interview.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're a great host too. Like you're really good at segueing too. Like because I probably won't stop talking at some points.
No,
So
you're
you're doing a
fine.
really good job of mediating, and especially with like Tyler and I too, and the questions, like being able to ask them so well. And I just think it's also like a really wonderful thing that you're doing this because you're standing strong to yourself. And
Thanks.
could have ended at episode 7, and now we're at 34, and we'll probably see you
Yep.
35 very, very soon.
Yep,
So
soon. I
yeah.
appreciate that. At this time, could you tell everyone where they can find you on social media?
Ooh. I'm on Instagram and I believe TikTok as this charming Paul. YouTube, I am the Paul Fiumano. My last name is a little tricky to spell, but if you've watched this, it'll say it right over here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tyler, is there any last things that you would like to ask or discuss before we wrap up this interview?
I think we covered it. I'm just going to say this has been just another learning and just fantastic episode. And I want to thank Paul and thank Waylon as the host. He is awesome. I agree with Paul, and so is Paul himself. This has just been a wonderful opportunity, and I'm very grateful to both of you. Just a wonderful episode is all I'm going to add to it.
Thank you. And until the 35th episode, remember everyone to always be well, honest, and inspiring because we stand strong together. God bless each and every one of you for watching. Until next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.